Alvaro. Ooh, another massive signing featuring an England international at a top European club. But this one, though, went a bit better this weekend.
Well, because he's a terrific player, Jude Bellingham. I think that one thing that we have to pay attention to in the coming future is how Real Madrid physically are going to run over opponents. This is something new, I would say, because we have seen Real Madrid running over opponents with quality, with goal-scoring abilities. I'm referring here to the BBC with Benzema, Bale, and Cristiano Ronaldo. But I cannot recall a Real Madrid that had such a machinery in midfield in terms of engine, different fuses that you can activate, deactivate, players that can actually defend and attack both fantastically. And Real Madrid is going to be defined this season by that. They've got in midfield Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Jude Bellingham, and Fede Valverde. All of them are physical beasts. And in Bilbao, against Athletic Club Bilbao, we could see that. Jude Bellingham, of course, scoring a goal and proving that his landing in Spanish football may be easy for him because he knows many things tactically, and what Carlo Ancelotti is going to ask from him, I think that suits Jude Bellingham very well. But in the past, many sides, I think that they could match Real Madrid from the physical point of view, Real Madrid and Barcelona and Atletico. But this Real Madrid is a new level for everybody, and I think that, in the 80s, Athletic Club Bilbao won a couple of leagues because physically they were stronger than the rest of the Spanish sides. In the 90s, in the early 2000s, I think that physically at San Mamés, many opponents suffer. This time it didn't go that way because Real Madrid has a terrific physicality in many lines as well, in defense too, despite the injury of Eder Militao, that we'll talk about, and despite the injury of Thibaut Courtois, who is a really big goalkeeper, and he's going to miss, I don't know if the remainder of the season, but he's going to be out until the spring.
Okay. 2-0 was the scoreline this weekend in their opening game of the season at San Mamés. But as you say, the bad news was that with Courtois already out, having done his ACL, Eder Militao also went out with the same injury that took him about at least 6 months there. With the season in prospect, you're saying a lot of positive things about Real Madrid. They finished 10 points behind Barca last year. Atletico started strongly. That 3-1 we mentioned before. What do you think about the Liga season?
It could be a 3-horse race this time, on the basis of what we saw from January onwards with Atletico de Madrid. Atletico did a very bad first half of the season. In fact, they were kicked out from the Champions League group stage, like Barcelona. But then, from January onwards, with Antoine Griezmann in the squad, finally, they became a very good proposition and the big deal in La Liga. I think that they had all the elements that Simeone likes, and apart from that, they had the flair and the creativity of Antoine Griezmann. Now, with Memphis more settled in the squad, with big praise from Simeone at the end of the game against Granada, and with youngsters like Barrios, for example, deputizing for Koke, for example, who got injured at the beginning of the game, and Barrios came out and did very well. I think that Atletico at least is going to be a bigger candidate than last season. As I said before, they finished the last season very strongly, and I have no reasons to believe that they are going to be worse. On top of that, they've got Azpilicueta and Soyuncu in defense. I know that these two, they weren't great in Premier League 22-23, but remember that Kieran Trippier wasn't the best defender in the Premier League either when he arrived at Atletico. He learned a lot defensively and he became a better player. I think that Soyuncu is going to become a better player because Atletico defends a lot in their own box and Soyuncu is happy with that. And same thing applies to Azpilicueta. Last season I saw Azpilicueta playing as a right back against Cole Palmer, and it was the worst day of his life because he cannot play in that position. But at Atletico he's going to play as a right centre back, and I think that this position suits him very well. He's got the leadership, and Atletico looks good so far.
Okay. Real Madrid, of course, this is their first season in a while without any of the BBC because Benzema's now off at Saudi and they haven't got Kylian Mbappe. So how much is that going to impact?
A lot. I'm not too sure if Real Madrid is going to sign a striker, emergency striker at some point. It doesn't look like. Joselu is the one.
Lukaku's another option, I'm thinking. I feel he might be available.
Yeah, but it could
no,
be...
but let's go back to James's suggestion.
To Joselu.
Yeah.
Well, Joselu is there. He played a little bit in Bilbao. He earned his first cap for Spain back in March, I believe, after the World Cup. Yeah. He's a decent striker, but we all know what Joselu can give you and what he cannot do for you. Rodrigo is going to take more scoring responsibilities altogether with Vinicius. In fact, Rodrigo scored in Bilbao. Inside the box, he's got something about Romario that I keep on saying that is very, very special. And probably he will have to step up as a goal scorer. But this Real Madrid is based around midfield, as I said that in my introduction. So I wouldn't discard that Real Madrid for long periods of this season, especially in the big games, plays with Rodrigo and Vinicius up front.
Hello there. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to this channel? The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.